Bonjour, mes amis. Welcome back to Hear Me Out. I'm E.
I'm D.
And today, obviously, I'm here speaking French or trying to. We're going to talk about Emily in Paris. It's back. I'm already pissed. Probably all y'all are as well. But we're going to recap season 4 episodes 1 through 5
Part
and
one, I think.
oh yeah, part 1. And then part 2 comes back in September 12th, so we'll review it then. But right now, we're going to recap the first 5 episodes and give you our thoughts.
Okay, so this article is from HuffPost and it's written by Sarah Hunter Simanson and Aaron E. Evans. Headline is Emily in Paris season 4 has some great moments but leaves us hanging. The first part of the season is jam packed with wild storylines, but fizzles out before it can really reel us in. For everyone who's been bemoaning the end of the Summer Olympics, the latest season of Emily in Paris is a whimsical escape to the City of Light that couldn't come at a better time. Season 4 picks up where season 3 left off, and the first episode opens with a TikTok video posted by Kemi's younger brother, Timothée. Yes, the one Emily slept with in season 1. The viral video serves as both a creative refresher of last season's drama for viewers and a plot device to pressure Emily to finally decide between Gabrielle and Alfie. The love triangle reached a tipping point last season when Cami called off her wedding to Gabrielle. I don't like him. Anyway, she blamed him for still being in love with Emily in front of Alfie, who left after telling her that he's no one's second choice. Of course not Alfie. But Alfie's leaving didn't uncomplicate Emily's choice at all because it turned out that Cami was pregnant. The first 5 episodes of part 1, part 2 of season 4 streamed September 12th, follow the fallout that climactic final scene of season 3. But even as Emily clears the air with Alfie, entertains the possibility of a relationship with Gabrielle, and helps search for Kami, who has gone missing, her dedication to work is constantly interrupted by her messy personal life. A constant stream of friendship mess and hot men drama makes it difficult for Emily to balance her ambition with her chaotic personal life. And of course, her work and personal life continue to intersect at the most inopportune times, such as being the face of a romantic campaign with the tagline, Love is in the air, with her ex boyfriend who is no longer speaking to her. In true Emily in Paris style, the outfits of the first 5 episodes of the season are a mix of high fashion and whimsy that more often than not cross over to wacky. Also, the side characters continue to steal moments with their big personalities, funny one liners, and tangled subplots. Highlights include Sylvie and Laurent trying to make the relationship work while she continues to run Agence Gratteau, and Laurent opens up a new club in Paris. Julianne embarking on a new career at JVMA, Luke struggling to fill Julian's void, and Mindy still dating her boarding school crush turned billionaire and singing at a big music festival. HuffPost binged the new episodes of Emily in Paris and chatted all about it below. Okay, so Emily in Paris makes a mess of one storyline with um private undergarments. We'll go
Pants.
with that. We'll go
Mhm.
with that. Mess is definitely the right descriptor for this. I still have no idea what I think about it because it was a lot for a show that is often a lot. When Gregory Dupree says it was inspired by Louis de Lyon and men not being able to keep it in their pants, it was way too on the nose. While the boldness of the fashion, if you can call phallic objects sewn on pants fashion, seemed tonally on brand for the show, it didn't feel appropriate for the subject matter. And I think it exemplifies how the show struggled to balance Emily in Paris as the very specific type of comedy it is with the seriousness of a Me Too storyline. But not to get too deep, maybe that is part of the point. Whew. Maybe the spectacle that this storyline devolves into with the pants is symbolic of the struggle that women have faced in France to be taken seriously. Again, this is probably too deep for the absurdity that the phallic pants became, but I do think it's worth noting the cultural differences between Me Too in the US and France. Those are all great points based on what Sarah Hunter is saying here. And Aaron continues, I definitely felt conflicted about how they framed the phallic pants in that final episode. Like, it was a cheap shot, but also totally makes sense for this kind of show. But also, um, as a total aside, I want to know how much the writers of the show know about phallic pants. Earlier this year, I watched the biographical drama The Big Cigar, which follows Black Panther Party leader Huey Newton as he tries escaping from the FBI to Cuba. Eldridge Cleaver was also an early leader of the Black Panther Party. You won't believe this. Cleaver created these exact same phallic pants. I went down a rabbit hole while watching The Big Cigar, naturally. You can read about the pants in a 1975 article from the Harvard Crimson, and there are pics there. Okay, so before we move on to the next part, what did we think about the way they handled their version of a Me Too storyline and how it devolved into phallic pants?
I actually really thought it was hilarious because it was a literal meaning to
Uh-huh.
everything that was going on. I kind of have to disagree, I guess, with the latter portion of it or the beginning portion. Is it the beginning? Yeah. About the seriousness of it because we do get a glimpse of the seriousness later on when Sylvie, finally tells the reporter like her side, and we see a more serious side of probably everything that Sylvie went through and what the girls are going through at JVMH, which now I see LVMH. It clicked. But I think for that particular moment, it was supposed to be light, very Emily in Paris. We know that these designers are very literal or very avant garde. And I thought it was supposed to be kind of funny in that moment,
Mhm.
but it does get serious later on, which I did really appreciate that. What did you think?
Um, Look, there is no universe in which I care to see phallic pants. I'm gonna just tell you that right
I thought
now.
it was hilarious.
Sure, yeah, definitely. But also, I don't want to see that. Like, um, yeah, I think overall, what I will say is that Sophie is my favorite character by far. And
Sophie?
is that isn't that
Sylvie.
Sylvie? Why am I thinking Sophie? Okay, Sylvie. Sylvie's my favorite character, even if I don't remember her name. Um, because as wacky and crazy as the show is, there is something grounding about Sylvie and her character, especially the way she
Yeah.
carries herself, the way that she goes about things. She is, I think, what can be described as like an actual Parisian, right? Like, that's the vibe she gives you. And she's very much like not interested in the drama of Emily's life. Sure, she'll partake in a little bit of messiness here and there, but overall, she's got her own stuff going on. And so I think the storyline, I feel like they did a good job with it for her. And for what the show is, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a woman who's been in business for clearly a long time, who's had to go through a lot of things, who's had to deal with a big, powerful man most of her life.
Hmm.
And she's trying to find her way still, like she did when she created her own company. I think it was what, last season that
Yeah.
it happened. And so I'm glad that this was done. I wish there'd be maybe just a little bit more emphasis on Sylvie, because honestly, her storylines and just her in general are way more appealing than whenever I see Emily with Gabrielle or whomever. Except Alfie, I love Alfie.
Well,
But
she's a
like,
stark difference from Emily.
yes,
Emily's over here like, hey, boy, crazy. Ooh, oh, I live in Paris. Let me dress up and be Parisian.
yeah,
And I have my dream job. Sylvie is, like you said, a very Parisian woman. The whole essence of France and Paris, fashion, businesswoman. But she's also an older woman that has no time for the nonsense.
yeah.
So I'm just wondering, since we're, like 26 now, not 25 anymore,
Girl.
is she like more relatable to us versus Emily Shenanigans? Because now, I mean,
Huh.
we'll probably talk about it later, but I'm kind of tired of it.
Yes. Yeah, that is an excellent point, and I think very illuminating. because it really does kind of put into perspective the view or the lens by which I'm critiquing the show.
Hmm.
And why I gravitate towards Sylvie whenever she has, her scenes with Laurent, whenever she has her scenes with Antoine.
Come
Antoine.
on, Antoine.
you
Oh,
know whenever so I feel like there's something there that is way more appealing than seeing the love triangle of Emily that never ends. We're season 4 now. And that basically, here we have Emily, the lead character, who came to Paris with this American mentality, work, 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 and used to judge Sylvie for the time she'd come in and the things she would do and everybody else, and would try to always mix in work whenever she was supposed to be having pleasure. But now I feel like her life gets in the way of her work so much that it's not even like, oh, she's adapted to, French work life, or no, that doesn't even seem like it's it.
it's
It just,
maturity.
yes, it feels very, very immature. And it's so like boring at this point to see that, because it's like you've been there at this point, however long. We're 4 seasons in, so you've been there for some time, and there's been no character growth. Like,
Yes.
there's no. How is it that you've been working at this place for as long as you have? You're wearing couture sometimes, and you still live in a rinky-dink apartment, a 1 bedroom with a roommate.
I mean,
Like,
well, I mean, I live in Miami, so you see these kinds of things all the time.
listen, Linda, I just feel like, yes, it's gotten to the point where it's not amusing anymore. But I see the scenes with Sylvie and everything she's got going on, and I want more of that, like,
It's her
I,
own spin-off.
yes. Oh my gosh. She's like, she would be literally Sex in the City. Like, if I mean, come on. And the thing too that I also really loved about her is that, she could have easily fallen into a love triangle situation at different points. And she was just like, eh, I don't care. She gives that kind of vibe of just like maturity, wise, and you just, I feel like, can really enjoy the city through her in a different way versus, the crap we keep seeing with Emily that's just tired and, old at this point. Like,
Yeah.
anyway. So, shall we continue?
Yep.
Whew. So, they continued speaking here on this HuffPost article about the Me Too storyline, and it says that earlier the storyline was teased in season 3 when Sylvie mentions her time working for JVMA and alludes to being harassed intimately. French culture has historically been more resistant to the Me Too movement, so on the one hand, it made sense for the show to explore this area, but simultaneously, the tone of the show is light, so the inclusion of the storyline seemed odd. After just 5 episodes, it's hard to judge the execution, and I'm interested to see how it's woven into the rest of the season. I will say that interpersonally, my favorite part of the storyline was Laurent supporting Sylvie and coming forward about her experience, and Sylvie texting him that she's sorry for ruining his business partnership. The way this shows the fallout that occurs when people speak up, and my favorite couple supporting each other, was a nice addition. But that emotional depth was ruined for me when Sylvie walked into the office and Emily called her a shero. Instead of Emily being cringy, I wanted more background about the French response to Sylvie's interview. I totally agree with that. I was excited to see the show go deeper with a big topic like SA, or harassment. I definitely thought it did as best as it could with the subject matter, but you're right. There are a few moments when the show leaned on its light tone to skirt around the issues, which meant as a viewer I cringed in a bit as they developed the plot. I was surprised by Nico's first reaction to Mindy when she tells him that he should accept the fact that sometimes dads disappoint us and that the stories about Louis could be true. Then that was all reversed in a fight between Nico and Mindy that audiences didn't see, leading us directly to the, phallic pants moment.
Mhm.
So then they discuss in the article about the Heartbreak Ball episode, which didn't live up to the expectations. I was so excited for this episode because I love a good masquerade ball, but I actually thought it was really disappointing. It was set up to be the climax of the love triangle, but it felt so anticlimactic. It was obvious as soon as Emily showed up in her eccentric black and white outfit that just made me think of Beetlejuice the whole time. Facts. That matched the person she works with there was going to be a subplot about mistaken identity, which I usually love, but it was so obvious it was from the moment that she saw Gabrielle that she wasn't going to rekindle things with Alfie. I wish there had been more tension, or at least that Emily found out that Alfie confessed his feelings to the other person who was just like her. Also, after 3 seasons of Will They, Won't They, I just needed the moment between Gabrielle and her to feel bigger.
Mm.
Um, this episode really made my head spin. I was so happy to see Alfie, but then with Gabrielle there, I was so turned off by the idea of the love triangle popping up. And then there was all the work related drama, and on top of that, the Michelin star critic was there. They definitely should have dropped the side character who was dressed like Emily because it didn't add anything at all. I don't want it to be the last time we see Alfie. I need Alfie to come back for part 2 of this season. I really feel like his character got the short end of the stick in the last 2 episodes, so I hope he returns. Also, I must mention the Bridgerton reference in this scene with the carriage because it made me laugh. It was pretty funny. Okay, so before we move on to the next part, what do we think about the masquerade ball?
I'm just tired of Emily and her love triangle. They're like, no, Gabrielle, be with Kami, and you're pregnant. And then I love you, Alfie, in one episode. Let's try to make it work. 2 episodes later, it's like they're doing this Beauty and the Beast ballroom dancing thing. Nobody's in the room. And all of a sudden, they're all together. Then, of course, he kisses the wrong girl and then just storms off. I cannot stand none of them at this point.
No,
Gabriel doesn't know what he wants. Kami doesn't know what she wants. Emily doesn't know what she wants. Alfie knows what he wants, but I think he has poor execution of it. Like, he has to realize he ain't the one. Let her be. He's been trying for 3 seasons or 2 seasons or
mhm.
whatever, and it's not working. Like, and at the same time, I kind of Alfie's very handsome. Like, he can come and talk to me if he wants. But I think this character is very like too headstrong for Emily. He's a little machista, in my opinion. Like, he'll be like Cooper this and duh, 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 and like start scolding her, and Emily's like, oh, like a little butterfly just floating around everywhere. I don't think they're a good match, to be honest.
Interesting. Huh.
And then Gabriel over there, I think he's just playing the fence. He's not really trying to decide anything. There was like a scene later on where he's like, "My life is perfect. I have you, Emily. I have a baby on the way." In what world is that okay?
Okay. So, um, I love Alfie, as I've stated multiple times in this episode. Um, I can see what you mean, about there not being like a full match between him and Emily.
Yeah.
Um, but I think especially when he was first brought on, which I want to say might have been the second season, um, I liked that dynamic that they had. It was a very opposite kind of thing. He had a very different he's European, but he has a very different way of, looking at things and all that. And so I liked kind of seeing like an evolution to him because
Hmm.
I saw that. But there's been no evolution with Emily. And so I think that's why it doesn't match. I think that's why it doesn't work. Because Emily could easily be headstrong, alpha in her own way,
Hmm.
but she doesn't. Or she could easily have him as a balance to her, right? When he's like, okay, we're doing it this way or whatever. It could be a balance. Because sometimes you need somebody like that in your life. If you're just so aloof, blah blah blah, you need someone to help
Hmm.
ground you. But I don't think that her character has developed enough to necessarily benefit from a relationship with someone like Alfie.
Hmm.
Whereas this whole thing with Gabrielle and going back to the masquerade ball thing, super anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're trying to make it seem as though they're supposed to be endgame. That whole everybody disappearing, on the dance floor thing, and it's not working. Like, if you want them to be endgame, fine. Who cares? At this point, I don't care. Like, I care very little. And I feel like Gabrielle's character, season 1 was very interesting. Even part of
Hmm.
season 2, very interesting. He's fallen flat.
He has.
There's really nothing about him that is exciting. There's nothing about him that, like, makes you want to root for him. Everything just seems very monotone at this point with him.
Hmm.
And I think that's also why I gravitated towards Alfie, because there's a little bit more, chispa there, a little bit more like spice or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so with Gabrielle, it's not doing what it needs to do. And so basically you're giving me a bland character as the love match for the lead bland character, and it just doesn't do anything
With
anymore.
the other bland character that's Kami.
Girl, I don't even want to get to Kami right now because we're about to actually. Okay.
Oh. Hmm.
Next part. Gabrielle, Emily, Cami, and Sophia try to adjust to their relationships. I always love a good dose of situational humor, so I thoroughly enjoyed the shower scene misunderstanding at the beginning of the episode that stems from Kami and Sophia living with Gabrielle. Side note, because hello, again, the 1-bedroom apartment, Kami comes from money. Sophia is a gallerist or an artist or something. Gabrielle owns his own restaurant. Okay. Okay, let me stop. So, um, during it, Gabrielle finally gets to see Emily without the extra friendly facade she wears around him, which shows how practiced she is at hiding her true feelings for him. It's one reason that I like her better with Alfie, because she is more comfortable and relaxed with him. Very true.
Hmm.
Everything with Gabrielle carries a disproportionate amount of meaning, and it speaks volumes that it is so hard for Emily to tell him that it bothers her that Kami and Sophie are living with Gabrielle. That's a huge part of what bothers me about Gabrielle and Emmy. Each of them approach everything with so much Emily, my bad, with so much trepidation that it makes it hard to root for them. I thought it was starting to change my mind about them toward the end of season 3 when they went to that fancy dinner. Their chemistry with each other was so palpable. But this season, I had so much anxiety while watching them. Plus, with the Kami of it all, we really start to see how much she does not want to let him go. So it feels like there will always be an extra person to worry about.
Hmm.
And then Emily finds Kami at Claude Monet's house. I agreed with you, Erin, when you said that the subplot with the side character dressed like Emily at the masquerade ball was totally unnecessary because it didn't add anything substantial. I felt the same way about this scene. Personally, I thought the best part of Emily finding Kami was the setting. The interior rooms of Monet's house were stunning, as were the gardens. Like the mistaken identity of the ball, the trope of Emily and Kami pushing each other overboard and into the famous pond was a scene that I didn't need. Although I did like when they returned to Paris, bedraggled and wearing Lily Pond merch. Um, so before I go on to my obsession with Monet, you go ahead.
Um, well, it's just basically what we've been saying. I'm tired of all of them. There's more passion with Sophia and Kami than the triangle that is Gabriel, Emily, and Kami.
Alfie. Oh,
So yeah. You know what I would have liked to seen at Monet's that scene at the lake? Them duking it out. You know
girl,
that
she's pregnant.
oh yeah. Well, not really pregnant, but it's just, or I guess splashing each other water or something. Emily wants to be on the fence about about everything. She wants to be
Yeah.
Kami's friend and
Mm-hmm.
preserve that relationship, but she wants Kami to leave Gabriel alone. But then she also wants to be with Gabriel, but she doesn't want to hurt Alfie's feelings, but she kind of wants to be with Alfie too. Emily,
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised that in some ways Emily is so, alpha, like you say, and like has these
Mm-hmm.
great ideas and can follow through and execute certain things. And then on these aspects, she's just so messy. She can't have it all these ways. She can't be friends with Kami. You want your man or you don't. because she wants him. Clearly, we'll see later on. You can't be friends with her. I don't understand what she doesn't understand. Oh, that was my first friend in Paris. Well, she's not your friend no more. Mindy is.
Listen, this to me feels like they're wanting to keep Emily and Cami as friends because they don't want to create so much extra friction for Emily. Because it's bad enough that Gabrielle has another woman pregnant. That's friction. But to add on top of that, that she hates Emily, they don't want to do that. They already
Mhm.
did the Kami hates Emily in the previous season thing, right? And then they changed that up, like, towards the end or something. So I feel like they want to minimize the
Mhm.
issues that Emily has for the sake of making the show light and all that stuff. But I feel like it makes it that much more difficult to watch because, like you're saying, like what you said, like they shouldn't be friends. Like, not only did Camille feel betrayed by the fact that Emily was involved with Gabrielle, and she failed to tell her first friend in Paris that she had, met her boyfriend before, and all this other stuff. But then later on, Camille goes and backstabs Emily, with the whole thing about Gabrielle, and then she quickly gets with him. Like, it all of that to me does not signal friendship. Like, that isn't a healthy relationship to
Yeah.
have. um the fact that they made it so that Emily was the one that found Kami, like, why? And of course I love the background of being in Claude Monet's house, and the water lilies is one of my favorite paintings ever in life. But it I couldn't even pay attention. I didn't care to pay attention to Emily and Cami because I was busy looking at Monet stuff, like, that was what was more interesting to me, because every time I see Emily and Cami in a scene together, I
It's
don't care to pay
tension.
attention.
Yeah.
It just doesn't give me anything.
So I had to look up her age on the show. So it says Emily Cooper, the main character of the Netflix show Emily in Paris, is 29 years old. Her age is revealed in the third episode of season 2 when Emily celebrates her birthday with friends and receives a social media comment that says 29 years jeune. 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 Yeah. So she's 31
At this point.
at this point. She's too old for these shenanigans.
Yeah, like I
It seems
said,
like
it's
he has
hard hitting.
regressed as a character, which is very unfortunate. And so did Gabrielle, whatever.
Well, so basically, to wrap up this thing, because the article touches on some other, like, side plots, which unfortunately, you know I don't feel like there's much to really be said about them. Okay, so there's the fact that Mindy finds the brand closet and then finds out about the situation with the women that work for JVMA and all that stuff. So then there's also the fact that she's dating the son of the guy that's doing all these things. Like, I feel like it's strange that she didn't tell him right away, "Hey, this is what your employees are telling me." But she
Hmm.
went and she told Emily, and then Emily went and told Sylvie.
Hmm.
And then there's also the subplot about Julien going to work for JVMA, which I get that actually. Like, he felt really unappreciated, and that made sense, right? Like, the him leaving part. And then, there's also the discussion of, like, Mindy being on the, what is it, some kind of singing competition or something
Hmm.
like that, and then
Yeah.
she's having to, like, come up with money. eh, and then
Which she's
she
a whole millionaire or whatever she is.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so, like, I don't know. What I think I want to just, like, end with again is just the fact that, like, them trying to push us to want Emily and Gabrielle together, it just does not work anymore. And the fact that Cami's pregnant, what you said about him being like, "Oh, this is perfect. This is the best. I have a baby on the way. I'm with you." And it's like, "Sir." um
He wants the
I,
best of both worlds. He knows
yeah.
is happy that she's pregnant in my eyes because he gets to keep a piece of Kami too because he's
And
indecisive himself.
that's where I'm like, I want no parts. I want no parts. Because we're looking, obviously this is Emily's show, so we're looking at it from her lens. But let's talk about the fact that Gabrielle has also been going back and forth. Like you said, he's indecisive. He
Mhm.
was with Kami, then he wanted to be with Emily, then he wanted to be back with Kami. He proposed to her because of the fact that she said she was pregnant. He would have gone through with the wedding. So
Mhm.
then what? He would have been married to her, still pining for Emily? And he knew Emily was with Alfie, and yet he was still trying to like flirt with her and do stuff and everything. Like, he's also not a good friend. Him and Kami deserve each other. Like, so
True story.
it just doesn't do anything for me anymore, I feel. Because all I can think about is the fact that like these are not good people. Like, at the end of the day, um, people like Alfie, people like Mindy, they're there for Emily. They've been there for Emily. Even
Mhm.
Sylvie has done more for Emily than these two people that she keeps wanting to still, be a part of.
Yeah.
And now she wants to be a stepmom or whatever the hell. Like, anyway, I'm
It's so
just
sad that the
over it.
side characters are my favorite characters.
Yeah,
I love Luke,
he's so
love
funny.
love Sylvie, Laurent, Antoine,
Hmm.
Alfie when he has his good moments, Mindy,
Yeah.
that whole thing with Ben. What was his name? Benoit.
Yes.
I don't remember what happened with them, but you
She
know,
got with Nicola.
billionaire boy. Yeah,
Yeah. I loved her with Benoit.
I did too. This billionaire guy pisses me off, but he serves his purpose there.
Yeah.
But the star of the show shouldn't be the star anymore. I don't know. She needs to move to Rome, like part two is alluding to,
Yeah.
and leave Sylvia in charge, in my opinion.
Listen, I'd be fine with that. Like, let's do Sylvie in Paris. That's fine with me. It sucks because there was so much like fun
Potential.
about the show in that
Mhm.
first season, right? But you're telling me we're 4 seasons deep and you still can't speak even a word of proper French? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Girl, I still remember my high school French.
O sea, that was
Hello.
Spanish, but
Hello. Like, anyway, so any final thoughts?
one of the scenes that I really liked was that whole Michelin star debacle. Now that is very Emily in Paris. I appreciated that more than the whole Gabriel firing the sous chef or the pastry chef and the whole love triangle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to cut Emily loose. How long is this renewed for? It's feeling very Kardashian to
Oh,
me.
dang.
Yeah,
But it is really crazy. I would be upset if they canceled the show because of the side characters. I
and
don't
a
want to not see
spin-off
them.
with Sylvie
Yeah.
without Emily would be fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. Give me more Sylvie. Give me more Laurent. Give me more Antoine.
Please give me more Antoine. All right,
Which,
guys.
hold on, because at the very least, it'll still give me some Alfie because Alfie works for Antoine. Okay, that's it. That's it.
I'm done with you. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments about season 4, part 1 of Emily in Paris. Do you agree with us? Are you over Emily's shenanigans with Kami and Gabriel? Like, who should she be with? Does Alfie deserve to be with? Not deserve, but should Alfie be with Emily or he's too good for her? Should he just
Too
move
good.
back to the UK somewhere, to Britain? I mean, wherever he's from. Where's he from?
The UK.
Oh, the UK, yeah.
I think he's from
Should
London.
should Emily just move to, I don't know, where should we send her to? Malta where nothing's going on and just have Sylvie run the show?
Hmm.
Let us know what you think in the comments. But that concludes today's episode. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, please share our video. We're trying to grow our community, so your friends be our friends and y'all be friends. We also have social media, which Steve will tell you about.
We are on TikTok and Instagram. Highly delinquent, but we are there. So please like, follow, and share. Comment. You can also comment on our videos, and you can also see and hear our videos in podcast format via YouTube Music because Spotify is also delinquent. So let's go with YouTube Music.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time for part 2. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.